your friendly neighborhood quarter guy here, and can we take a moment right now to talk about how Capcom has been turning things around these past couple years? I mean, it wasn't too long ago that Capcom was pretty much the butt of everyone's jokes when it came to video games. I mean, with the cancellation of, like, 3 Mega Man games, the fact that Street Fighter Cross Tekken had such bullcrap DLC practices, and a whole bunch of other stuff, like 4 versions of Street Fighter 4. But over the past few years, they've really been turning things around. Like, for example, working with Double Helix to get the Strider reboot, the Monster Hunter series popularity in the West has increased significantly over the past few years. Let's see, there's also, oh yeah, Ace Attorney has been doing well. And most recently, Capcom has recently announced that they are going to be doing an HD remake of one of their most beloved games, Resident Evil 2. Now, granted, I've never played Resident Evil 2, nor am I a big fan of horror games in general, but I think it really shows that Capcom is at least making an effort to turn things around. And to be honest, it kind of gives me hope for some of their more forgotten franchises, such as Mega Man, obviously, quite possibly a new Darkstalkers game, hopefully, probably finally closer to the Beautiful Joe series. I know this may just be wishful thinking, but cautious optimism, you know? I just got to admit, and especially considering how horrible Konami's been lately, it's kind of a dramatic reversal. And also, with Sega's fortunes dropping, they've admitted they've screwed up as well, and they intend to make it up to the fans somehow. It's like, one can only fall so far before they realize how bad they've fallen. It looks like Konami hasn't realized it yet, but Capcom seems to have realized that they've screwed up, and they're looking to make things better. I can only hope that it continues. And congratulations to Resident Evil fans. Hopefully this will lead to a revival of the series as it was meant to be, and not, well, what it turned into after Resident Evil 5 and 6. Well, especially 6. There are a lot more people who like 5 than 6, to be honest. Well, I can't really speak for the Resident Evil fans. The Resident Evil game I've played was Revelations, which from what I understand, got really good reviews as well. Anyways, updates. I'm gonna be trying to continue the boss rage on Sunday, because apparently Max is having this big thing that I really want to see on his stream. So tomorrow at noon Pacific, I'm gonna be trying to stream this game that I recently was given by a indie developer called Duckbridge. The game's called Luckslinger, and I want to try it for the first time on my stream. It's twitch.tv/quarterguy, just so you remember. As for my other projects, script is finished for top 10 things I hate in video games. I've also done some scripting for some of my lists for Castlevania month in advance, so that I have enough time to make sure that I can get everything done by the end of October, and everything on schedule. After that, I'm either going to do my top 10 Astral Heats remake, which will probably be expanded to a top 15, or top 10 things I like in video games. Because for things I hate, there's also things I really enjoy in video games. Anyways, on to my question of the week. What Capcom franchises do you want to see brought back? As always, leave your answers in the comments below. I'll pick my favorites and feature them in next week's episode. Here are last week's winners. Anyways, onto the fourth wall mailbag. Remember, if you want to send me a question, if you have a PC, Mac, or Linux browser, go to my profile, channel, click the About tab, hit the send message button, and send me your question. I'll answer my favorites on the next episode. First question today comes from Wolfgang Anza, who asks, You keep mentioning a Robot Master's field guide in your Mega Man videos. How do I get one? Simple. It's probably available online by now. I'm not sure if it's available in bookstores anymore, but I just got mine at a Barnes & Noble. It's that simple. It's an officially licensed guide to the Robot Masters of the series. That's where part of my research came from in the personalities of the Robot Masters. Which is also why I included the Mega Man Killers and the Genesis unit and the Star Droids on my lists, because they were bosses and they were in the field guide. Next question comes from Darkhawk the Bad, who asks, other than Rugal, is there any KOF boss you hate fighting? How many KOF bosses can you name? Chances are I hate fighting them. But probably the worst for me was Magaki from the King of Fighters 11. When I said he was bullet hell on legs, I meant it. I mean, he's got so many friggin' projectiles that you can't get close to him, and when you do, he'll just bitch slap you away to the other side of the screen and you're back to square one. God, it's a pain, seriously. Even on some of the lower difficulty settings for new players especially, he's a pain in the ass. That's all there is to it. Just like any other King of Fighters boss, and pretty much almost any other SNK boss in general. There's a reason the phrase SNK boss syndrome exists. Next question comes from Rachel Flynn, who asks, what is your favorite Mega Man spin-off? X-Series doesn't count. Well, it's a good thing the X-Series doesn't count, because my favorite spin-off isn't the X-Series anyway. It's Mega Man Zero. Yeah, I like the darker setting of the Zero series. I like how Zero is developed throughout the Zero series. I like the way the weapon system works in the Zero series as well. Well, aside from the leveling up. I also really like the Cyber Elves and how they factor into the gameplay as well as the ranking system. But I gotta admit, they are not for the faint of heart, for they are as hard as heck. Seriously. They're difficult. They are challenging. So, if you like things easy, don't bother with the Zero series. But if you like a challenge, go for it. You won't be disappointed. Next question comes from Cruz Owen, who asks, what's your least favorite Mario game? Least favorite Mario game, for me, was a spin-off and a crossover. It was Mario and Sonic at the Olympics. Because a lot of it just boils down to either shaking the Wii Remote and Nunchuck really fast, or using them in some way that, at least for me, had trouble functioning properly. Especially archery. That was a pain. Shaking your arms back and forth gets tiring fast. Final question comes from Matthew Strittmatter, who asks, what are your thoughts on the People's Republic of China lifting its ban on video games? Well, maybe now the people of China will get actual games instead of cheap imitation knockoffs.